Hello and welcome to the live virtual viewing of the Willamette Living History Tour, an evening in Willamette 1922, presented by the West Linn Historical Society. My name is Danny Schreiber. I am the producer, the co-creator and director of this production here, and I'm joined tonight by this lovely lady here. You want to introduce yourself?
My name is Nicole Schreiber.
She is our co-creator and research and writer of this whole thing. And then over here on this box, over on this side, is Beth Smollins.
Hi.
Beth?
Hi, everyone.
Beth,
hi, Danny. Hi, Nicole.
hi.
Great to see you.
Yes, I feel like we're in a parade or something. I don't know why. But Beth is our costume. Yes, and our co-producer on the production as well. And so we thank everyone for joining us tonight. And I didn't actually have this in my script, but I should remind everyone that we're live and we are on YouTube right now. We'd love to hear from you on YouTube, on chat. We can answer your questions, take your comments, tell us how wonderful we are at any time on chat if you like to on YouTube. Also, you can visit our website at www.westlinnhistory.org/donate if you want to support all the projects and productions that we put together every year. So without further ado, let's get to our show tonight. So for those of you who are not familiar with the Willamette Living History Tour, since 2008, we have transformed the National Registry Historic District of Willamette once a year back in time. We hide all the modern conveniences, replace them with reproduction items, and try to create a stage really, for this live production. It's called a promenade style theatrical production, where the actors stay in one place and the audience moves from place to place. So our guests are led on each tour by costume guides who take them from vignette to experience what life was like in the time long ago. And along the way, they meet many of the important citizens of West Linn and get a chance to kind of see some of the big activities that may have happened in that time period. So for the last 2 years, we have portrayed the year 1922, and we would have done that again this year in 2020, I should say. But a little virus came along and made it a little unsafe for us to have large crowds in small spaces, which most of these homes are. So we're here tonight. Fortunately, last year in 2019, we had a camera crew that came through all of the scenes for the first time, actually, and recorded all of our different vignettes. So we're here to show those to you tonight.
Each of the scenes you're about to view represent an event or situation that could have or actually did take place in 1922 in Willamette. Every person mentioned did actually live in the West Linn area at that time, and often in the houses where the vignettes actually took place. While I had to take creative license on the actual words that were spoken because there weren't any transcriptions made at that time, I took every effort to keep everything as historically accurate as possible as regarding the dialogue and the age and the setting.
While some of the costumes and props and settings are actually vintage, most are historically accurate and made up of thrift store finds. So we spent a lot of time, 9 months, preparing for all the costumes and all the props. And my job was the most fun of anybody's job because I went thrift shopping almost weekly beginning in April. And some of the things that we found were amazing, like the dumbbells you will see in the exercise scene. Those were real vintage dumbbells. And many of the costumes are so similar to the costumes to the actual clothing that we saw in the newspapers. We could recreate costumes almost exactly as women would be wearing them and men would be wearing them in 1922.
Now, before we continue our journey back in time, let me give you a little historical perspective. The year is 1922. The city of West Linn has recently annexed the town of Willamette. The new high school in West Linn had just opened, and the brand new bridge between Oregon City and West Linn was just about to open. The roads were being paved for those fast-moving automobiles. And of course, the U.S. had just come through a global pandemic and a world war. Interesting, we don't have a war, but we had a pandemic. And we were just beginning a very strong economic recovery, which would eventually become what we now know as the Roaring Twenties. So the 19th Amendment had just been ratified back in the summer of 1922. And but that was interesting because women in Oregon had had the right to vote since 1912. So it wasn't brand new here, but we'd had that for a while. West Linn had been an alcohol-free dry town since about 1914, although in 1922 the Prohibition was in full swing at that point around the country. The flapper aesthetic was yet to become commonplace, but it was a growing trend, which was both hated and loved by many. And of course, the 1920 census put the population of West Linn at just around 1,600 folks here, but we were a bustling town, factory town, mill town. We had electric trolley. We had all the modern conveniences, and well, here's your chance to tell you a little bit about it. Now, without further ado, let's take a step back to 1922.
You want to pay for the middle to fill that hole? I think I was under the influence of my medicine. What is it?
Judge Cross, if there's anything I can do to be of service to you, please let me know. I am in 100% support of you.
Why, thank you, Mayor Shannon. I truly do appreciate your support. It has been quite an ordeal dealing with all the rumors surrounding my adding to the Clackamas County debt, with people calling me careless, extravagant, and unbusinesslike in dealing with the county's finances.
So it's not rumors, it's the county's expenditures have doubled. Or...
Well, our debt has doubled since Commissioner Harris took office, when I was simply chairman of the board. And it's Mr. Harris that's leading the recall effort in the first place. And to think there are people calling me autocratic, discourteous, overbearing, and disrespectful to the people that I work with.
Yeah, we've seen those flyers and petitions.
Yeah, I've got some of those petitions.
I say it simply not true. Now, I've had some strenuous times in and around the courthouse dealing with the commissioners and other people in my efforts to bring about financial reform. And ulcers need to be cut out with a knife. And there's no truth to me wanting to cut widows' pensions or refusing to assist the poor.
Judge Cross, of course it's not true. Time seems to have gotten away from us, Your Honor. Would you mind if we continue with our meeting?
Ah, yes, of course. We're not here to discuss my political matters. We are here to discuss the bridge dedication ceremony scheduled for this upcoming December. Now, according to my notes from our last meeting, we decided that a wedding on the bridge would be a delightful way to dedicate this momentous occasion.
Yes, a wedding ceremony with two youngsters from Oregon City celebrating their wedding vows on the bridge would make this event truly a day to remember.
Mayor Shannon, is it true that it's just as simple to procure a couple from West Linn as it is from Oregon City?
West Linn.
West Linn.
Gentlemen, a few days ago I took the liberty of preparing a draft of what I might say during the dedication ceremony, and if there's no objection, I would like to share it with you right now.
Well, actually...
By all means, Mayor Shannon, we would love to hear them.
Thank you. Today, we are celebrating the completion of this stupendous bridge linking the two cities of Oregon City and West Linn, as well as the wedding of these two fine, upstanding youngsters from Oregon City.
But actually from West Linn.
Yes, or West Linn. Therefore, it would be not only prudent for me to begin this ceremony, but imperative. Why, if it were not for Oregon City's role in the development of this bridge...
And don't forget West Linn's role.
Yes, well, I was going to include that.
But of course, I knew you would eventually say.
Please, sir, proceed.
Yes. Today, on this glorious December day in the year 1922, we welcome you to the most beautiful bridge in America.
The most beautiful bridge, our very own Brooklyn Bridge.
Too damn narrow.
Well, you say that now, but you come back and... anyway,
Have another.
I intend to. It'll
Narrow
still
West
be
Linn,
there,
Mark.
narrow or not, linking our two communities.
Of Oregon
The
City.
sleepy town of Oregon City and the bustling metropolis of West Linn.
West Linn, Greaves.
West Linn, indeed.
Mayor Greaves, how could I forget West Linn? If it wasn't for West Linn's agreeing to participate, this beautiful bridge would never be built.
Indeed, it was the best $50,000 we've ever spent on a public engineering project.
Ah, but don't forget, without Oregon City's own separate $50,000 contribution, nothing would have happened.
True, and I do appreciate that, knowing how much it probably strained the Oregon City budget. And I hope that eventually, in days drawing near, the county may finally make good on its $150,000 commitment.
As well she should, Judge Cross.
So you're all to blame.
We're all to thank come election season. Now, just think, eventually this bridge will be spanning the river, and thank God I know that West Linn has committed its fair share.
As has Oregon City.
Indeed.
A good thing our two fair cities have done the right thing, Mayor
Good thing
Greaves.
indeed. Good on us. A toast to us.
Now, weren't we discussing having a queen at the dedication ceremony?
Yes, we were. A beautiful, resplendent creature, representative of West Linn in all of her municipal munificence.
Or Oregon City.
Now, there's no reason to be disagreeable. Why not have queens from both cities?
Excellent idea, Judge Cross. Once again, you've proven yourself to be an outstanding moderator.
Why, thank you, sir. I do indeed try. Now, about that $150,000 from the county. Oh, my goodness. Water under the bridge.
Oh, those mayors. So
Now, that was a
scene
brilliant,
I'll talk about-
brilliantly played, brilliantly
Very well
casted.
played. Very well played. Great actors all the way around. That scene, now,
All
of
the
course,
way
we
around.
don't know if they actually had a meeting like that, but we know that in 1922, in December, the bridge was actually open. So that's actually when it did
And it
take
did
place.
say in the newspaper that there were some meetings happening.
So we know that took
So-
place.
And there was definitely, all the research showed that those were all the important people that created the bridge. And so just imagined what the meeting would be like.
Yes. And what's fascinating and is actually historically accurate is that the rivalry between West Linn and Oregon City was absolutely taking place.
And the mayor, and then everything that they were talking about.
Yes. So that
having
is
the queen, and then arguing about the queen, and that was all true.
yes. And
It was all
so
true.
to end it, they actually did end up having a marriage ceremony on the bridge between a couple from West Linn and a couple from Oregon City. So that was actually did happen.
Which our
December.
very own Danny and Nicole played that couple in 2012 when the bridge reopened, right? And
Yes,
we
we
did.
knew
Yes.
back then in 2012 that we were actually going to do a 1922 story to include that bridge scene. So this was in the works for quite a while, and you guys were brilliant.
It was. So yeah, that, and then actually that also for that rededication in 2012,
Right.
they did another wedding ceremony, an actual real wedding ceremony on the bridge of, I don't remember what the number was, but hundreds
A whole bunch of
of
people.
couples
Mhm.
renewed their vows or got married for the first time on the bridge. also at that dedication.
Yeah.
So that was another historic event that,
That's right.
who knows, in the future we'll have to do 2012 as a reenactment year. But, so we've already,
I won't be around.
yeah, we've already got
Yeah,
some
we won't be
questions
around.
coming in. We've got some questions, which is going to be a hard question to answer, but we've got a question asking what our favorite scenes were. And of course, we haven't shown all the scenes yet, but
I say when the scene comes,
we should say,
then you say.
We should
Okay,
save it
okay.
till the end. We might save
Yes.
it till the end.
Oh, you can save it.
I'm going to use the excuse that any parent would ever use, is that I love all the scenes equally. And they're all my
We
favorite.
love all of our children equally. We costumed all of our children equally.
Yes, we certainly did. So now, Beth, I did notice something in that scene, which we'll address probably throughout the night. All the gentlemen in that scene had their hats on like we do right now. And I hear it every year at the tour that people in that time period wouldn't be wearing their hats inside.
So why are there hats?
I know. And well, I have a co-producer who informed me that for theatrical purposes, it was very important to add the hat so that the context of the costume and the era would be really translated through the hat, which is why we are wearing hats tonight. This hat is a little bit earlier than the 1922 era, more like, I think, Nicole, you can help me. This one has a little bit more of the 1919, 1918 look, but this was my 60th birthday present, and I love this hat so much, so I have to wear it.
Although we did
But
notice
am I
through our
right?
research,
Is it?
It is. It's
It is.
the late teens for sure. But go ahead.
But when we noticed in our research, and Beth, you remember this too, that we noticed a lot of the photos of Willamette and West Linn in 22, they weren't wearing 20s costumes or that 20s outfit necessarily, because they were wearing things that were a little bit older. We weren't New York or Paris where we were cutting edge of fashion. Some people just wore what they had because, that's what they afford, that's what they had. So we noticed that throughout all the tours, all the years, that sometimes the pictures would look much older. It would be dated 1920, yet they would look like they're wearing something from 1915.
Or even
earlier.
Right.
True. So we have that flexibility in some of what we're doing. But our reason for everyone wearing hats is there's another one too, is that our modern haircuts, we didn't have enough wigs to deal with having to do everyone's hair over again. So it's a lot easier to hide hair under a hat. And so that's another.
And it
This
also
is true.
helps portray the character.
It does, yeah. So we apologize if anyone's offended by everyone wearing their hats inside, but we do what we do. Which actually now we have a wonderful collection of hats in the costume storage, right?
Definitely.
Absolutely. I have some with me. This was one of my favorites that I put. Oh, wait. I got to do this. There we go.
There. Oh,
This is one of my
yeah.
favorites.
Aww.
I
That's
love
gorgeous.
this hat. I can't remember who wore it. I think a guide wore it. There
It
we
looks
go.
like a guy.
But this was a little thrift store find right there. Love the
I
hat.
see Beth loves what you do. You love what you do, don't you, Beth? You love the costuming part.
I never, ever would have anticipated that this would have been a thing that I would do well. And maybe some would say, oh, well, she doesn't do it that well. But I had so much fun doing this and just researching and looking at the pictures and trying to, we had actors of all ages, all sizes, all shapes, and they all always look amazing in costume on the set. It always worked really well.
It did.
Yeah, we're beautiful.
What's next?
So you want to see another? Should we see another scene?
Next
Yes.
scene.
So let's go and watch another scene. So now we're going to just go right across the street from our meeting of our bridge meeting there over to see some activity that's going on. There seems to be someone accosting some women. So let's go see what this person's doing across the street.
Modern medical miracles unveiled soon. Come one, come all to the free lecture this coming weekend in Portland. Modern medical miracles, yes. Ailments of all sorts cured at the drop of a hat. Sufferers of all types of woes, come this way and find your remedy, yes. Oh, good evening, yes, good evening.
Oh, good evening, Mr.
Mellentine, though you may call me Dr. Mellentine.
A pleasure to meet you, Dr. Mellentine. And what exactly are you a doctor of?
I am a doctor of hope, my good woman. Did you know that we are in the midst of a scientific breakthrough as we speak?
Why, no, I did not.
Yes, and you can learn all about it if you're interested in attending a lecture this coming weekend.
What kind of lecture?
A lecture where you can learn all about how the human body has the ability to heal itself.
Heal itself.
Yes, and you can find out more the 27th, 28th, and the 29th at the Benson Hotel in Portland. That's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, mind you, if you're interested. There are so many ways that the human body is capable of regenerating itself, and you can find out all the ways that you can deal with ailments of any kind. Ailments of the skin, the liver, the small intestine, the large intestine, the bowels, the kidneys, rheumatism, the nerves, and even some rectal ailments.
Oh.
And all you have to do is attend this completely free lecture. I strive to share my scientific advancements with the betterment of all humanity, and there may be some small fees associated with particular cures. And if you would like to find out more, you can...
Oh, good evening, Dr. Mclean. Allow me to introduce you to Dr. Mellentine.
Mellentine, yes.
Huh. So
He's
nice.
a doctor from Portland.
Huh. Nice to meet you in person, Dr. Mellentine. Didn't I read in the newspaper you were back in Portland in June? Held some sort of lecture?
Well, I do make it my business to visit the most important of cities with the most important of information, and your fine establishment meets all of those criteria.
And were you not back in April? And then again in the fall, November?
Yes, but this is new.
Well, I think your news has reached near and far by now, wouldn't you agree, Dr. Mellentine?
Very nice to have met you, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening.
Yes.
Good evening. I think maybe one of your illnesses have flared up on him.
I wonder why you
lecture?
had to leave so
Yeah.
quickly. Hi, those people.
Oh,
I just want to see how the baby is doing. Hello,
Yeah, so Dr. Mellentine, I remember when you found that one in the paper.
Yeah.
And he was a real doctor, and well, he was a quack doctor in town, advertising throughout. Now, it wasn't just Portland, you saw him throughout
He was
the
all
state of
over
Oregon
the
and
place.
Washington.
Yeah.
He was this traveling salesman who was going around selling his wares and products, and yeah.
Different than a traveling salesman, because we've had a traveling salesman before.
True.
He was definitely saying he was a doctor selling a certain product that and different cures for all that list of ailments that he gave. So different than a normal traveling salesman, and he would do lectures all over the place, over and over and over again, in return over, like Dr. Mclean said, which was a sure sign that he was more just salesman, not real doctor.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now a lot of the actors that you're seeing are from our local area. Some of them are professional actors. The gentleman playing Dr. Mellentine there was, he's actually an acting coach, acting director for a theater company in town, and he also does a teaching at one of the high schools. And but a lot of the other actors are just regular people. I guess actors are regular people too, but are just some of our neighbors who love history, love being involved with it. So they take their time to volunteer to be a part of our cast, and that's what they really love to do it. So it's great to see all of these different types of people come together for this production.
Yeah, Clem
So-
was a great Dr. Mclean. He did, I think he did a couple of years, or maybe
He
even
did.
every year during 1922. And
Yes.
he was, his accent, everything, he just managed it so well.
Very
Yes,
much
definitely.
so. And a lot of these end up becoming family affairs where we have other members of the family playing parts. So we got, the different scenes. Sometimes they're together. So you'll see in our next scene, we do have a little family that is portrayed by an actual family as well. So they're in that scene when we watch Dr. Mclean do a house call. So let's go watch Dr. Mclean visit one of the families.
Oh, Carolyn, you look radiant. Where's the little angel?
Oh, thank you, Rosina. He's right here next to me. Evening, Dr. McLean.
Good evening. How have you been faring since our last house call?
Oh, quite well, I would say. Mighty well. Considering I just had the baby and all, I'd say we're doing just fine.
I'm not getting nearly enough sleep.
It has been a bit of an adjustment, getting used to the odd hours again and things.
Yeah, I don't remember this much crying, and I'm not talking about from just the baby.
Oh, I think Cindy's been struggling a bit with the new addition to our brood, but he's been a great sport and taking mighty fine care of us.
Yeah, I don't know, just something that small, going through so many cloth diapers in one day, and all the different colors. I mean, really, green.
So have you been receiving enough assistance during the day?
Oh, yes, indeed. When Cindy's over at the Crown Willamette Paper Company, I get plenty of help from friends and family.
Well, let's take a look at little Sydney. Do you mind holding my bag? I'll grab my... Should you mind picking up little Sydney? See how Sydney's doing. So how are things at the Crown Willamette, Mr. Beard?
Oh, raising a baby's 100 times, 1,000 times harder than being a cashier, Mr. McLean.
Well, no one said raising a child would be easy now, Mr. Beard. But I have to say, little Sydney is in excellent health. You're both doing a fine job.
Thank you, Dr. McLean.
Are you sure, Doctor, everything's in tip-top shape?
Absolutely. You can rest assured little Sydney is in excellent health. But I'm not sure about you, though, sir.
Is it serious, Doctor?
I dare say it is. I think Mr. Beard is taking part of it quite serious. You should be commended. Congratulations, Mr. Beard.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah.
Will we...
Doing a fine job.
Oh, thank you. Will we be seeing you soon, Dr. McLean?
You will actually be seeing a lot more of me. Myself and my wife are building a house here in West Linn, so you'll be seeing a lot more of me in addition to these calls.
Well, it'll be wonderful to have you so close by.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Ellison. Well, sure, I'll be off then, and keep up the good work from both of us.
Thank you, we will.
And Doctor, just how much drool is the right amount of drool?
Right amount of drool.
Yeah, well, you see, little Sydney drools an awful lot. And then he purses his lips together with this little coo, coo, coo. And...
I have to say, Mr. Beard, you do that impression quite well.
Thank you.
No, drooling and cooling is quite normal for a baby. I wouldn't worry about it, because Sydney is an excellent health. You're both doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, sure, let me know if you need any other assistance.
Okay, I definitely will.
Okay,
Thank you.
Take care.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Sorry, I may have laughed on that a little bit.
So Dr. McLean was the actual local doctor in town. His house still exists. It's right under I-205. It's now currently owned by the city of West Linn, and it's open as an event venue. Well, actually right now it's not open, but normally it's open as an event venue. And I know actually our first year that we did 1922, we actually had the actual doctor bag of Dr. McLean in the scene, right? Right, Beth?
Was it
Right,
last year
right.
or was it the first year? Oh, was it the first year?
Yeah, first year,
okay.
yeah.
Well, I think we found this one and purchased it to have it because it was we didn't want to really use Dr. McLean's bag because it was actually an antique. So they do have it over at the McLean house now.
Yes, but they did offer it to us for 1 year. We used it for 1 year,
We did.
but that is a replica now.
We did
We
use
just want to make sure we keep history preserved.
Right. It's too precarious.
Right.
Yes. But it's great. So if anyone ever gets to West Linn, go and visit Dr. McLean's house. There's a wonderful garden around there, and a lot of events are held there. I know every year the West Linn Historical Society produces a wonderful event there, their historic tea and fashion show, who happens to be produced by my two co-hosts here. So
Yeah. Next year will be challenging. We'll have to have a powwow and figure out how we're going to make that happen, but I'm sure we can make something happen.
we'll do something
The fashion
virtual,
show
and
is
we'll make it.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
fashion show was amazing last year. I thought that was the best. The women portraying women in history. I'd love to see us do that some more. That was great.
We
That
can do
would
it.
be fun. We could do it again. We could do it virtual. It could definitely be a thing.
If you've been to the fashion show or to the tea, put it in the chat. Let us know. Let us know if you want us to do it again. I know we've had a few other comments and questions in there. And yes, vinyl was still for sale in 1922. Some of our fans from past years know the vinyl mentioned. But Dr. Mellon, I don't think he was selling vinyl.
No,
though, right?
no. This is different. Like I said, a doctor. He was portraying himself as a doctor who did lectures at universities. Very different than the traveling salesman who sold vinyl. I mean, they have similarities, but he didn't. The vinyl salesman was definitely just a salesman, not saying he was a doctor.
Yes. And we know in 1922, Dr. Mclean was still doing house calls because his home had not yet been built. So,
yes, but it was in the process.
It was in the process. Yep, it was under construction.
That's why he talked about it.
And but he still lived in Oregon City, I think, at that point. But was doing house calls, which is something we don't do anymore. But he would go from home to home to check on people, and he worked for a lot of the mill workers and would check up on them from time to time just to make sure everyone was still healthy.
And that was a family that just had a baby that year.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
So now let's move on to Prohibition. You drink your water. So West Linn had been dry since 1912, as I mentioned before. Actually, I'm sorry, 1914. And within the state of Oregon, it was allowing each city to decide whether or not it wanted to be a dry town. They called them dry towns or a wet town. And West Linn, actually, Oregon City was first, if I remember correctly. I believe they went dry first, and then West Linn followed because they were worried about the riffraff coming across the river from Oregon City. So they also went dry at that point. So by 1922, pretty common here that everyone knew that it was a dry town, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't some mischief going on. So let's take a look at some of that mischief.
What's the news?
Babe Ruth running for president.
Come on in, Paul. Good to see you. Glad you could come over. We're here because we'd like to see a man about a horse.
You know, a little something to wet the whistle. Yeah, just a little tipple, nothing fancy, just a taste.
Just. You gotta speak easy and quiet around here. We don't want the neighbors hearing anything.
We're inside. No one's gonna hear a thing.
How come you didn't tell me you were gonna have company when you called me to come over?
I don't rightly know how it happened. I went down to the picture show at the Star Theater in Oregon City. It's ladies' night, you know. I don't have a sweetheart, but I'd like to see the Charlie Chaplin show. And afterward, I heard Ann talking to her friend here about how she'd like to find a swig of water. She's not from around here. She's from Washington. She came down here to visit her friend
Would
Bertha.
you get to the point, please?
The point is, your friend over here says I might know a fine fellow who can help you out.
Oh, he didn't.
Yes, he did. And I'm guessing that you are that fine fellow.
I thought you could fix these fine ladies up with a taste of your fresh brewed water for their troubles, you know.
Troubles? What troubles?
Well, we did have to come all the way over here from Oregon City, and that's a far piece since that darn bridge isn't finished yet. Don't you think we deserve just a taste for our trouble?
Just as long as you don't go yapping all over Clackamas County about it.
Don't you worry your pretty little head about it, bootlegger man.
You have our solemn vow. We will be as silent as the grave.
Oh, fine.
Attaboy, Paul. I knew you wouldn't be a wet blanket about it.
Wait,
You are a bona fide friend.
Yeah, a bona fide friend you're gonna be in debt to now.
Whenever you need me, Paul, I'm there for you.
You see that rug right there? Underneath a throw rug like that back home is the key to my success.
Dust bunnies?
No, not dust bunnies. Been digging a cellar underneath the pile of rug. A place to house my little business, you know? We need a few more backs to help me finish the job. After that, the law will never be able to find me. Especially that booze officer, Deputy Long. He keeps trying to catch me, but I ain't biting.
Well, probably best not to bite an officer of the law.
Hey, whoa, careful with that. Every drop of that you spill is a drop of my livelihood going down the gutter.
Yeah, man's got to keep the wolf away from these doors nowadays.
Women do too, in case you didn't know, especially if you want to make it on your own in this world. Bootlegging's no exception.
My friend Ann here has whiskey and gin flowing in her blood. Ain't that right, Ann?
Absolutely. I know my way around brewing a good jug of juice.
Say, Ann, what's in this here jug of moonshine?
Well, I'd say pulled whole rye, corn, apricots, raisins, and prunes, all fermented in a vinegar bottle, about 2/3 full of water, 75, 80 degrees Fahrenheit.
I told you, my friend Ann knows her way around liquor.
Whew. That's some strong hooch. Not exactly the cat's pajamas, but it's adequate. Acceptable. But you know, what would make the taste even better is, oh, never mind.
No, go on. I'm always looking for ways to improve my recipe.
In that case, what would make this here moonshine absolutely perfect would be...
Open up, open up.
Come on in, officer.
Good evening, folks. My name is C.J. Long, deputy. I've been hearing some rumors about some possible illegal activity going on here in Willamette. You all wouldn't happen to know anything about that now, would you?
No, not at all.
So, what have you been drinking tonight here?
Water.
Water.
Crystal clear water.
Water, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Ever heard any rumors about moonshine being brewed around these parts?
Oh, no.
I've been getting reports about some suspicious activity, strange sounds, lots of cars going to and fro. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that now, would you?
No.
Well, the largest booze plant in Clackamas County was discovered last January in Sunnyside, and I'd advise that we keep it that way. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Now, deputy, we were having a bit of choir practice, and we'd like to sing you a little song.
Choir practice.
We would.
We would.
Maybe just one song. Gotta make my rounds.
The demon of rum is abroad.
Thank you for that. Good evening. Judge Cross shouldn't have cut my salary, that's for sure.
On every hand,
You know, our neighbors were really amazing. They to give us the garage of all things and be able to change that garage and turn it into a cellar or, you know, the place where the bootlegger was. That was really a challenge, but it's amazing all the houses that contributed their property to make this happen for all these years.
Yes, and then all of the other neighbors who are willing to just move their vehicles, clean out their yards, and basically let us intrude into the 6 square block area of the historic district every year. It's wonderful that everyone is so supportive for over 12 years now that people have been doing this. And I've heard now when people move in that when they move into a new neighborhood, they hear, "I've heard about the tour. I'm ready to be a part of it and be involved." So it's always nice to see that. And I also have to mention in that scene, our singers, our actors there. We, as a director, I actually had to direct them to sing badly because they're actually really good singers. They're actually really, really good singers. When during rehearsal, they sounded really too good, and I didn't want them to sound good. We wanted them to scare away the police officers, so we had to make sure we had Fennell and Bianca, and make it sound bad. So
that's right.
So yeah, go ahead. I was going to say.
I was just going to say that in that scene, just to make sure everybody knows that there really was a moonshine bust in December of 1922. So it really
in Willamette, yep.
In Willamette, and it really did happen. And we just don't know where the exact location of the bust happened, because in the newspaper it didn't give an address or anything like that. It just said it was in Willamette. It was actually right on the outskirts of Willamette. So. But it did happen, and they really did find all the moonshine underneath a rug in a hidden cellar that had been dug out.
Yes, so. And what happened while the officers found out by seeing a number of cars at all hours of the night pulling into this house back and forth and
doing the secret knock, that was a real thing, and the secret words and everything.
So that actually happened. Now Paul, the character who was in that, was the actual person who was arrested for it. We couldn't figure out actually what happened to him. We were looking through historic records to try to find him, but we're not sure what ended up happening to the charges or what happened. But it was a big still. It was larger than the one in Clackamas at the time that was found. I don't remember the exact poundage or gallons, but it was huge. It was a huge operation that he had entrepreneur. That's what he was at the time. So. But that's a fun little scene right there.
Yeah, I actually think that what I had learned from Andy Rokia, Elizabeth Rokia's husband, is that along the Tualatin, around where their property is, around where Fields Bridge is, there was some distilling down there, some illegal moonshine doing down there, and there was a peach grove, and he told me there are stories, and I tried to research this by finding some people, older people, but I could never get in touch with the man who someone had connected me with. I put out a phone call, and so I just couldn't get another person to tell me that story. But Andy certainly has been around a long time, and he says that there was definitely moonshine along the Tualatin around where they live.
So if you know the inside scoop, let us know. We'll love to hear about it. The West Linn Historical Society, and if you're enjoying what you're seeing, if you've enjoyed the tour and gone to any of our events in the past, please consider joining us at the West Linn Historical Society. Again, our website is www.westlinnhistory.org, and if you'd like to support us, you can go to www.westlinnhistory.org/donate. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, so you can use this as a tax deduction. We are also a member of the Oregon Cultural Trust, which means that if you make a donation to the West Linn Historical Society and a donation over to the Oregon Historical Trust, you can use that as a tax credit off of your state taxes, which is a very unique thing, but basically it means that you get free money back on your taxes. But consult your tax advisor for that. It's not my job to do, but you can certainly take advantage of those kind of things. But we appreciate any kind of support you can give. And of course, the chat is still open, so please comment on there. We're hearing from lots of our friends and lots of past participants and people who've been a part of it. So it's always great to see that. Now, one thing I wanted to mention is throughout the tour, every year at the end, we always do a survey of our attendees. And it's always interesting to see which scene is their favorite and which scene they like the most. And I was fascinated last year's results. I was looking for the survey again. Every single scene was mentioned.
At least once.
At least once by one of the attendees, which is just shows you how everyone has diverse tastes and they love the different stories about it.
There might be favorites.
Yes, there might be favorites too. Maybe family members in there, but still, I just think that they're all just very well put together. All of the actors are so good on learning their lines, and it's fascinating for normal theater actors, people who are regularly in theater, because our production is all one night, and they perform it, I believe, 15 times in a row.
Oh, or more.
Or more, depending on how many family and friends tours we do. But it's a very different production because we open and close the same night, which in theater world is usually not a good thing. But in our world, it's great because that's what we do. But they get a chance to run these lines over and over and over and over and over. So by the
rehearsal the night.
Yes, we do a dress rehearsal the night before, and then a lot of them, they learn them on the site. I'm always impressed by these theater actors who can pick up their lines like this. Yeah. They're great. And then all the non-professional actors in our neighborhood, all of the neighbors, they're great at picking those up too. So it's wonderful. And often what we find is a lot of these neighbors then do a little bit extra research, and even the actors do too. And they find out who they were playing, and every year we hear about it. I know the actors in some of the moonshine scenes have told us that they did a little extra research to find out who this person was, and they were fascinated to see these stories of these people that they portrayed. But really, it's interesting to see how these characters develop. So our next scene, West Linn and Willamette area had an old little downtown area, just like where you have today, right there along what was actually called 7th Avenue at the time, which is now called Willamette Falls Drive. But the main hub of activity was, of course, the general store, Ritter's. And take a look now at some of the big folks in the area. The Ritter's and the DeBachs have a little conversation here. So let's watch that.
Irma, so nice to see you.
Thank you, Mother. It's lovely to see you too.
I must hear about your trip, your honeymoon down to Willamette. But with the fair going on, we just didn't have a chance to talk at all.
Yes, the Clackamas County Fair sure does take its toll on Father.
But now that it's over, we can now talk. That would be great.
That is great.
Welcome home, Irma. It's good to
Father.
see you. David, how are you?
Hey, Mr.
Good
DeBach.
to see you. We've got a lot to talk about with you being next year with the county fair.
Well, it certainly looks like you did all right this year with all those blue ribbons, Mr. DeBach.
Well, yes, I did. But I can always do better. You know, there's never a time that you can't improve yourself. Isn't that right?
Well, yes, sir. I guess that's true.
And now that my very own brand new son-in-law just happens to be on the board of the fair committee, I thought maybe you could give me a few hints on how I can win even more awards next year. If there's anything I like, is to improve myself. Isn't that right, dear?
Yes, dear.
Mother, please, don't let Father talk his ear off about the fair again.
Haven't you won all the awards over the years, Mr. DeBach?
Nonsense! There's always more awards to win.
No, really. George, come on.
Well, that's true. There is. There's always more awards to win.
You might be right. You might be right.
No, it's fine. It's fine. You should be very proud of all your accomplishments. Let's hear them.
Well, boy, I'd like to do that, you know, because I'm mighty proud of that bull. You know, that bull has got me a blue ribbon, but that isn't all it's done. I've had some accolades that I like to read to you, and I just happen to have them.
Well,
I wrote them down so I wouldn't forget them.
Let's hear them.
Darn tootin', I'm prouder than a pig that just took a bath. Now listen to this. First place was a swine at your Jersey Boar. 6 months and over, 2 years and old and over. Breeding sow, 2 years old and over. Gilt, 6 months and over. First and second place. Sow and litter, second place! Don't quite know what happened there. That Judge Grim Dimmock's going to be the horns of that category. He got me there. But I'll get them next year, I tell you. Beat the pants off them, though, with cattle and swine.
Well, you know, I thought I heard that Judge Dimrick won largest watermelon and squash as well.
I don't want to hear about it. That Judge Dimrick gonna be the death of me. I'll tell you, but I'm gonna get them next year.
You know, George, you have to let somebody else win occasionally.
Only one can hear about Holstein and swine so much.
Well, that's true, but...
I mean...
But, you know, he won the award. What more can I do? You know, and the other thing is, I'm going to win more awards next year because I might get a new son-in-law here. He's going to help me out.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
And now, Mr. and Mrs. Ritter, good to see you.
Good to see you, Mr. and Mrs. Debug. Good to see you.
Hello, good evening, and you have your Irma here. Hello, how are you? Oh, I mean, Mrs. Long. I keep forgetting about your new name.
That's quite all right. I'm still getting used to it myself.
As am I. Well, her name, that is.
Are you out for a walk? Did you come from the store?
Oh, yes, indeed. We had some extra shelving to do this weekend, but we can't dally too long. I've got to get into Portland for a meeting of the Progressive Club. We are talking about bringing a train from Portland to Willamette. We've been talking about it for some time now.
It's going to take a lot more than that to get it done. It's going to take a miracle.
You know, that sounds so crazy.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Well, you know what? There's a new stock of baking powder that'll be just perfect for making some blackberry jam cakes, don't you think, Mr. Ritter?
Oh, yes, indeed. Our baking powder makes the lightest of cakes.
Well, I just saw a recipe on the Oregon City Courier saying that they have the best baking powder in town. Wouldn't you agree, dear?
Well, you know, perhaps we should go to Willamette tomorrow and go to Ritter and Epler's and pick up some for ourselves.
Oh, please. Yes, you should. We had a stock of canned salmon come in also and made quite a display of it. But have a look-see in the store window before you leave, Mr. and Mrs. Long. Please do.
Indeed we will.
Indeed we will.
If either of you need to utilize the mail when you're in town, our Ripper and Epley's have the finest of post service also.
Well, you know, that sounds wonderful. And you know, speaking of salmon, did you guys hear about Robert Kruger?
No.
Just the other day, he caught a string of salmon so large that he posted it in front of his storefront window down there in Oregon City.
Really?
Small potatoes.
Interesting. In a store window, salmon?
Well, apparently the display caused quite a few positive affirmations from the anglers themselves.
Well, I don't know about the smell, but it just might lure in some newer customers.
Why lure customers in with fish when you can lure them in with my prize bull?
Father.
Mr. Riddler, I guarantee you that if you put my prize bull in your front window, you'll get new customers, or my name isn't George DeBach.
I'll seriously consider that, George. Take it under suggestion.
Please, George.
Well, the offer's always open, so keep it in mind.
Indeed, I will think about that.
Well, thank you.
It was lovely
good
to
evening,
see you,
Mr.
Mrs. Ritter.
Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. Riddler.
Are we still?
That was really good.
That was a lot of bull.
A lot of bull. So Ritter's grocery store was right where old Cooperstown is now located. That was the building that was the Ritter's grocery store. And the old cash register from that store is now located in the Pacific West Bank. The Westland Historical Society set up a display in there for it. So if you want to go and see that, you can go right down there to Pacific West and see it in the lobby. The old-fashioned 1919 year for the cash register, and it was actually the way that Westland citizens would pay for their water bill for many years on that same cash register. So a lot of people probably recognize it. Beautiful. So Beth, that scene made me think of something as we see all of these different actors throughout. We have about 120 actors in the scenes this year, this 1919 year that we 1922 year that we did. A lot of them in this video, unfortunately, we don't show because there's a lot of background actors that you don't get to see. So, because a lot of the guests, when they're walking, they'll see people on horseback or on carriages.
And
the guides as well, all in costume, and citizens, and we call them town folk that were wandering around, which are often favorites of people. But behind the scenes, I know there are dozens and dozens of people that help as well. And it comes to mind, especially in your costumes, when you're putting around the costumes together, Beth. I know you have a big team of people that are out with you helping to put these people together. And I wondered if maybe we could mention some of the folks who've helped out in the past year.
Oh, well, we had a lot of help from several women that are actually in the play. Lisa Sample was not in the play, but she was always behind the scenes. She helped with bringing a lot of vintage costumes to our costume closet. You know, the Vandermolens. Kia Vandermolen and her mom, Linn Vandermolen, they always helped me. They helped take measurements. We would have to take dozens of measurements of each actor. We would measure their head to try and make sure that we got an appropriate size hat. We would have to measure their torso, their waist, their arm length, because a lot of the clothes were very fitted. So we'd have to try and make these jackets look like they were made for these women. And sometimes we took some of the clothes in. Very little tailoring had to be done. It was always a very quick job. We would do tucks because I'm definitely not a seamstress. And for me to be able to fix a costume so that it would fit an actress, it would have to be fairly easy and fairly quick. So that was behind the scenes. Let's see. Who else did we have?
Kim and Dee and Shelley and I know and Elizabeth.
Shelley
and
worked.
you just had
Yeah,
Shelley and Kim and Dee too. Remember Kim and Guy Holiday? They were all involved with all this. There's so many volunteers that sometimes we just forget who helps us with all these things. But
all the years
too. And
that's right.
And we've grown over the years. So those who don't know, our first year was 1908. Was the first year we portrayed, and then we did 1913 after that. And so we've added to that collection, and some of those costumes have morphed over the years and changed, and added a jacket or a hat or a feather to it, and all of a sudden it becomes a different year. And so all of these collections of costumes over the years have been great. And, we have a wide-ranging collection now that we. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I have to mention Kim Baggett and her brother Guy. They actually did a lot of buying for the 1922 costumes. They went out and actually searched a lot of the thrift stores and helped, because we needed to get certain kinds of things and we needed a lot of it within a short period of time. So they were amazing.
Absolutely. And now our next scene, I know, had a lot of costumes in it, but we need to move on to the Lady AIDS Society. Now, throughout our different tours, the Lady AIDS Society has always played a big role. They've always been in every scene because they were fairly active. Every year, they've always played a role because they were very active in West Linn and Willamette area, often leading the edge on whether it was suffrage or if it was getting rid of the devil drink. Prohibition.
Vote, and then,
So we wanted to see what they were up to in 1922, and we'll take a look to see what the Ladies' Aid Society was doing in the year 1922.
Yes, Mother. It's really very creative. Yes. When we use the original recyclers. Oh, yes, yes, of course.
Ladies, yes. Do you mind if we wait a bit longer to begin our meeting?
Mrs. Wilson,
Because I'm concerned about Mrs. Snyder. And she's not here yet.
Oh, Mr. Davis, don't fret about Mrs. Snyder. I'm sure she's on her way. But just in case my daughter Mary and her good friend Katie Wallace went around to see if all was well.
That is dear.
It's too bad that my husband, Mr. Wilson, had to take my automobile to the garage. I could have motored over and gotten some.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. We all know about your motoring car.
Yes.
Everyone in Willamette Valley knows about your motoring car. Mrs. Snyder knows. Oh!
I wasn't sorry to miss it.
Did you hear about the party, girl? Did you hear about the party?
Let's hear about the party.
Mrs. Snyder's daughter. Mrs. Snyder's daughter. I tell you, Mrs. Snyder's daughter Beulah and my daughter Mary are creating a pirate party.
How unusual.
All the girls will wear pirate costumes. All the invitations were signed by Captain Kidd and Captain Flint, and every girl got a boy's name.
No. How do you know this, Mrs. Davis?
Oh, I know.
Oh, Beulah is now writing for the Oregon City Banner Courier, and in the middle there's a whole section titled Newsy Briefs from Around the County. And there's a whole column about Willamette, and it's got Beulah's name.
It must be true, I guess.
Beulah has her very own byline. And she's only a senior in high school.
Why?
That girl is a regular Nellie Bly. A modern girl.
This may affect her marriage prospects. Writing in a newspaper, don't you think?
Oh, when I read
Oh,
so much.
ladies,
Women do
ladies,
not dance word
it is time for our meeting to begin.
Oh,
We
my
have a
gosh,
surprise. I have a surprise. We have a surprise for you. An amazing woman from Union High School is here to give us some exciting news for the girls and the women of West Linn. And this woman does so many things that I always have to write them down to remember. Here to tell us some wonderful news is the gymnasium instructor, the sophomore class advisor, the choir and band director, and glee club advisor, Miss Helen Leathers.
Thank you, Mrs. Davis. Thank you. Ladies, allow me to share with you all the female body can accomplish now in 1922. And to help me tonight is my assistant, Mrs. White.
Oh, you're nice.
The first Women's World Games were held last month in Paris. And the second Women's Olympiad was held this spring in Monte Carlo.
That place would do all that gambling.
That's not nice. And then there's Miss Jean Lamar of New York, the first woman to ever apply for a boxing license. Now she didn't get it approved, but the fact that she a testament to her applying to be the first fully fledged female boxer is a testament to what women can achieve. And speaking of achievements, the University of Oregon now has its very own women's baseball team. A whole team, as well as offering female classes, regular classes in golf, archery, and tennis. Yes. And regular exercise is proven to balance health, lengthen life, and improve overall well-being in all women. Who needs a special soap to reduce your weight? That's what I was talking about. When you have an exercise regime, a regular exercise regime, and worry no more. Ladies, I am here to tell you the future is now.
Yes.
The future is you.
Yes.
And the future begins with a ladies' gym class.
Oh,
May I have a volunteer, please?
Our leader.
Mrs. Davis. Will you please?
I think she knew about this.
Sporting. We're going to do a gentle exercise together. You're going to put your hands straight out in front and a gentle knee bend like so. Ooh. And come back up and repeat.
Oh, that's actually quite
diverting. Keep going. Keep going. You're doing wonderful. Mrs. Reeves.
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Don't be a wet blanket.
You're lying.
Yes.
Oh, must I?
I think we should take this off.
What?
Just in case it.
No.
We're going to put our arms up really nice and high. You can do this nice and tall, and you're going to reach for your opposite foot, like so. And then again on the other side, nice and gentle. You're getting the hang of it.
Look, I'm getting the hang of it.
Miss,
Oh,
I got the hang of it enough.
Not quite yet, Miss Davis, not quite. Keep going. Keep going. Now, young Helen Wallace, would you like to have a go?
Helen.
Oh my gosh.
Ellen, are you going to do it too? Oh, wonderful.
Oh, and your sister Ellen would like to join you. All right, you're going to take this in your hand like so, and then bend your knee in front of you and lower the weight and come back up.
Okay,
You're both natural athletes. Excellent. You're natural athletes.
It feels like I'm a boxer.
Yes. Now, who else would like to join? Excellent. We're going to do one more exercise all together. And we're going to take it outside.
Oh, outside.
Yes, so if everyone would follow Mrs. White.
And 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
We're doing our workout over here, ladies and gentlemen.
Because the future is now.
Sorry, we had the props.
And some of our guests might recognize that the athletic teacher is our very own Kim Bria, who is actually running for council now. And she has been in the play for years and done a fabulous job. We just loved having her all the time. So.
And over the years, we've been lucky. We've actually had a lot of council members and mayors and county officials all be in the production. So we like to have lots of our folks involved at all levels. So
1913, we had a lot of city councilors in that final scene.
Yes, on the city council scene, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that was fun. But yes, so the Ladies Aid Society that actually existed, and the gym classes were taking place.
Yes, Helen Leathers was the gym teacher, and she did all of those things, and just, I mean, everything was pretty much found in the newspapers of the time, and you just can't really make this up. It's just there's just gems reading and going through all the newspapers, and you just see, like, I can see scenes in my head when I read some of these things, and it's incredible how it just pops out like that. They're gems right there.
Well, and we actually have we actually have photos of Helen Leathers in the annuals. Was it Union High School or Westland High School annuals that we have on our website? It was 1921. Was it 1921 that her picture was in there? Actually, that was the picture that inspired her actual costume. We found a very plain white shirt, and Helen had a black tie, a fluffy tie, bow tie, and a sort of a Peter Pan collar. And we don't know, of course, what she was wearing on the bottom, but the perfect thing that we found were these man tweed trousers that were extra large. And we wound up turning them into knickers. So we took the waist in with an elastic and took the legs in with an elastic. And Kim had stockings and black boots, and she completely looked the part. So she did a great job.
Yes, it looked really good.
It was fun. And then we found these actual 1920s barbells just on accident at an antique store. I don't remember where it was.
Yeah.
It was in Oregon somewhere. We're like, oh, we found the real thing. So yeah.
That was Kim and that was Kim and Guy. That was one of their finds, and actually they own them, so I think they're back in their hands now. And
no, I'm sorry.
We got an extra pair. We got more props. So
you got an extra pair. Oh, I'm so excited. Well, when we do our show again, we're going to use yours.
We're getting props ready for next year too, so get ready for it if we can do it again.
There you go.
Absolutely. So we should probably move on. Occasionally, we're really lucky because some of the scenes actually get to take place in the actual home that is actually happening in. So some of those we haven't been able to, but our next scene did. And the amazing thing is that this event actually took place almost to the day of the tour. I think we were 3 days off of the actual event. But back in 1922, right around September 16th or so, happened to be this next scene, and it took place in this exact house. So let's take a look.
Yeah, then we should be able to call her Fritz.
Gordon Tour and Bruce Wilson. Welcome. Thank you for coming to the birthday party.
You're very welcome, Mrs. Buckles. Thank you for inviting us to the surprise party for Roy.
Well, you're just in time because the ice cream is almost done.
Oh, here, let Tubby and I help you with that, Mrs. Buckles.
It's the least we can do.
Well, thank you. That's very nice of you boys.
Feels delicious, Mrs. Buckles.
Well, it was made of all fresh ingredients from Buckles Market, so it should taste delicious. My, you boys are growing like bean sprouts. You know, if it weren't for your uniforms, I wouldn't recognize you.
Well, I just came back from practice, so... Well, ain't that the truth? Roy's a good egg, Mrs. Buckles. We wouldn't have missed his party for the world. It was hard giving him the slip, though. We didn't want him to see where we were walking to after practice.
So we took a different route so we wouldn't suspect anything. It just took longer than we expected.
Yeah, tell it to the judge. And that, my friends, is an example of what we call a hard-boiled egg.
Gordon tore you lousy flat tire. If I were...
Children, please stop. I don't know what you're saying, but it doesn't sound very kind. And so I don't want any more talk like that here. Do you understand?
Yes, Mrs. Buckles.
Well, it looks like the ice cream's done.
Who else is coming to the pub? Holy mackerel, Vernita's strong.
Vernita!
Well, hello there, Vernita.
Hey, Tommy.
It's so nice to see you again, Vernita.
You too, Wilson.
You guys just saw her in class this morning.
Well, lots happened since then, Fritz.
It's Hazel Hudson to you, Bruce Wilson.
Bruce? Oh, would you rather me call you Bruce? I know everyone on the football team calls you Wilson, so I just...
Wilson, Bruce, doesn't matter.
And you can call me anything you want to, Vernita. You can call me Gordon, Tubby, Mr. Tour.
I'm not sure what your father would say about that, Gordon.
That's for sure.
It's not Roy. It's Roy. He's coming down the street.
Quick, hiding places.
How much money? Oh, what honey? Ain't we got fun?
Surprise! For he's a jolly good fellow. For he's a jolly good fellow. For he's a jolly good fellow. Which nobody can deny.
Oh, shucks, thank you. I didn't expect this for sure.
Well, happy birthday, son. It isn't every day that a boy turns 16, you know.
Oh, thank you, Mother.
We thought for sure you'd catch on, right?
I didn't suspect a thing. Although, I did think it was a little odd that Miss Leathers wanted to talk to me about a next Glee Club meeting right after practice.
Good old Mrs. Leathers. She said she'd distract you for a few minutes. She said she had to get dumbbells.
Happy birthday, Roy.
Hi, Vernita. Thank you. Hi, Hazel.
Hi, Roy. Happy birthday.
Why, thank you. I'm so glad you could come to the party.
Of course.
How about some cake and ice cream, everyone?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And some music, too. I definitely need to work on my Charleston.
Oh, me too.
Face it, Roy, you can do anything. Play ball.
Football and baseball.
You can dance.
Sing.
You can act. You're one of the most dramatic talents in all of Union High. According to Amplifier, at least. Not me.
You don't know how to lay it on thick, that's for sure.
Well, it's the truth, Roy. You know, we're all very proud of you. Now, tell me how to do this Charleston step.
Oh, it's pretty easy once you get the hang of it.
Well, I don't think I need it at the store, but show me.
It's sometimes easier with a partner. Hazel, would you care to dance?
You're asking me?
Your name is Hazel Hudson, I am.
Oh.
Go on!
Don't cut her off
Uncle Roy Buckles there.
Oh, right, off you two. Yes, Roy, I'd love to dance.
All right.
Like this?
Yes, exactly. It works with her.
Right? My, Mrs. Buckles, you belong.
That's why I always want to dance. We're just dancing. So yes, that scene did take place right in the Buckles home, which is right down the street from here at the 14th and 13th. I get confused right away. No, it's in one of the historic homes in the neighborhood. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
You know because your husband used to live there.
Yeah, it used to be Aaron's house. The vinyl salesman from 1913 used to be his house.
And the meteorite owner before that too.
And now it belongs to the mayor of West Linn.
Right.
Yes. Well, the person who played the mayor of West Linn. Fictional
Played
mayor
the
of West Linn.
mayor, yes.
Yeah. So yes, the birthday party really happened there for his. The birthday party really happened there for his 16th, Roy Buckles' 16th birthday.
And it's great because for everything that we actually were talking about, having the ice cream and the sodas and other things like that, we know that those actually happened at the birthday party, and we knew it was a dance party.
Yes.
And how did that happen?
From the newspaper. There's always sections in the newspaper. I just would read all of 1922 and 1921 editions, and they had special sections in every paper for the area of Willamette, the area of Stafford, the area of Wilsonville, like all the different areas we still know today. And that is where you would get all of the gossip and all the things that we don't even have in the newspaper really anymore nowadays. They would say when somebody special came to visit, they talk about birthday parties, just lots and lots of things that are perfect for scenes for the Living History Tour. So.
And one of the reporters for that section was a young lady who we'll meet in our next scene.
That's right.
And she wrote these columns, and Beulah was one of them. So let's take a look at this.
Sunday for school in Eastern Oregon. Miss Harriet Snyder left Monday morning for the Oregon Agricultural College. Miss Julia Crytether left Sunday for Eugene, where she will attend school. Lucky girls.
Are you still writing, Beulah? We're time for the Ladies' Aid Society meeting, and I thought you were coming.
No, I can't, Mother. I have a deadline.
You always say that these days, since you've been writing the Willamette Community News for the Oregon City Banner Courier.
Well, it's true, Mother. It is like a job, you know.
A real job. It's really amazing that you're writing for the actual newspaper, Beulah. Don't you think so, Anna?
Well, yes, but what need will Beulah have for a job when she's married?
Have you thought that perhaps I might not want to get married right away after graduation, Mother? Maybe I want to go to university, travel, see the world.
Yes, well, Elmer, let's get these cookies covered up so that the flies don't get over them, all over them on the way to the meeting. You know, I heard the other day that Genevieve Fromont's wedding was quite the event, and Gordon Hammerly's parents have gifted them a sightly lot for a future home in West Linn.
Their own lot to build a house on? Now that's something.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful for Genevieve Fremont.
Oh, and I heard that the Beard family last Saturday welcomed a new baby boy, 11 pounds. I'm sure he'll be a consideration for the Willamette baseball team someday.
An 11-pound baby? Now that's really something. Fabulous news, Mother. Really, it's tremendous.
Well, Alva, could you help me in the kitchen with the blackberry jam cake, please?
The baby show held at the Willamette Auditorium proved a big success. The task of choosing the prettiest of 62 pretty babies was not an easy one. According to the judges, winners included baby boy under 3 months, Herman Deckard. Baby girl under 3 months, Irene Divney. Special prizes for youngest baby, Herman Deckard. Baby with the most brothers and sisters, Herman Deckard. And baby with the most grandmothers, Marcella Bigley. Jeepers creepers, that's a lot of babies. Why, hello, Mary, Mamie. Aren't you both supposed to be at the Ladies' Aid Society meeting?
That's what we came to ask you, Viola. Our mothers sent us to fetch all of you.
Did they now?
Yes, indeed they did. You're not going to make me sit at that meeting all by myself, are you? I'll be there, Mary. It's much more fun than when you're there, Viola. Please come.
Well, hello, Mary and Mamie. Aren't you supposed to be at the Ladies' Aid Society meeting?
Good evening, Miss Night Owl. Our mother sent us to fetch you.
Oh, yes. Well, we're leaving right now. You know, Beulah, I read in the Oregon City Enterprise that Nellie Capon, you remember the Capon family that had the shoe factory in Main Street? Well, she just married a wonderful young man in Portland.
I heard, Mother. I've been wondering about whether I should include their wedding in our community news. But since the Capons don't live here anymore, I decided against it. I want to keep our news as local as possible.
But did you include your dear cousin Elva's visit from Hot Springs, South Dakota in the community news?
Why, of course I did. It's not every day that a young woman travels all by herself to visit families so far away. Now, is it, Elva?
It most certainly isn't.
Yes, well, I suppose times are changing, and young ladies can travel by themselves without a chaperone. Next thing you know, they'll be cutting off their hair and shortening their skirts like those infernal flappers do.
Mother!
Well, I read all about those flappers and their bobbed hair.
Well, shorter hair would certainly be more convenient.
And one could always hide it under a hat or poke bonnet so no one would know.
Elva?
I mean, it was just an idea that one could. Not that I would, or Beulah for that matter.
If you truly did read all about flappers, Mother, then you would have read Florence Riddickboy's article on how women are no longer slaves of fashion. A flapper is an independent Miss Today with her own pay envelope and a mind of her own.
Yes, well, I know all I need to know about those flappers and their anything-goes ideals and loose morals.
That reminds me, Viola. Roboco's birthday dance is tonight. Oh, not to worry, Miss Night Owl. I'm sure all the girls in attendance will be wearing their corsets today. Did I say something wrong?
Oh, goodness gracious. I don't think I'm ever going to get used to that sudden noise. Hello? Hello, yes, can you hear me? Oh, hello, Mrs. Davis. Yes, Mary and Mamie are here. No, Elva and I are still coming. Beulah? I don't think Beulah's going to make it. She has a headache. I do apologize for being so late. Yes, we're leaving right now. Thank you for calling. Goodbye.
Oh no, do you have a headache, Beulah? I could stay behind and make you some chamomile tea. Well, if I didn't have one before, I certainly do now.
Well, I know I do with all that infernal click-clacking noise. Come on, little girls, let's get ready. You know, Beulah, remember what we said at the family reunion last year. If you grow old as intelligently as your grandmother and grandfather did, God rest his soul, then you will thrive in this world and live a long life.
That's exactly what I plan on doing, Mother.
Okay, come on, girls, let's get this ready. Well, we're off to the meeting now. Goodbye, dear. Come along, Elva.
You really are something, Beulah.
Well, let's keep Beulah to her word. We can walk back to this way.
So is this actually what you typed the whole script on?
Why, yes, it is.
We're silly. I know. So Beulah was an actual real person who lived in West End. That actually scene was also in the Snido house. So that was actually her house too.
It was.
Yeah, another one of those actually places. Yeah. But Yes, that was a fun one. Actually, it was really fun. And as you can tell with all of the scenes, we have all ages of actors, from very little to very old and everyone in between. I think our youngest we've ever had was our newborn son.
Yes, it was our younger son, Noah, who's now 12.
12 years ago.
So
First
he
year,
was
he
a
played a
newborn.
little newborn in one of the scenes. And
Yeah.
so we've had all different ages over the years, but it's fun. I know that we've had the kids use the typewriter, we have to teach them how to type on the typewriter.
It's
That
hard.
is-
You gotta press really
There's
hard.
a lesson to one day of practice on the typewriter to make sure you can do it, because they're used to swiping and it doesn't work to swipe.
No,
Doesn't work.
nothing's happening.
Oh well. So we should probably keep moving on because we're coming close to our time up here. But our last scene, Beth, I know you have a connection to our next scene.
How do you like my hat? I'm wearing my Beulah hat. She's my spirit animal. Since I do the newsletter, I'm being photobombed by my cat. Sorry. That's my cat.
We're live.
Sorry about that. She's insisting on being involved. What were you going to say?
Well, so our next scene, you have a connection to our next scene.
Oh,
you know,
it's my favorite scene. Yes. So Aaron Heligus, it is my favorite scene. He does an amazing job. He did an amazing job as the vinyl salesman and the police officer, this new speed officer of West Linn, which Nicole had found information about that historical happening in West Linn. And Aaron took that role and just ran with it, don't you think?
Oh, yes,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Let's watch him. Let's see what it's like now.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Wilson, hold on a minute now. You're telling me you couldn't be going any faster than 2-3 miles an hour, yet when you went by me, you almost blew me hat off me head.
No, officer. I was just driving Mrs. Wilson's automobile back from the repair shop because we're going down to Rockaway Beach tomorrow for a little trip. And I never abuse her precious motor car.
Excuse me a minute, sir. You say this is your wife's automobile?
Well, indeed it is. And she'd have my head for sure if ever the littlest scratch ever got on her precious auto car, yeah.
Women owning automobiles. Oh boy, ain't that a kettle of fish.
Well, that's exactly why we're going to Rockaway Beach for the seafood. But we're not going to have a whole kettle. I mean, you know, they're huge, and there's only 2 of us.
Just have a seat, Mr. Wilson. And you there, Mr. Maddox. I don't suppose you know why I'd be stopping you now, do you?
Sure don't, officer. Perhaps you wanted to get a closer look at this pristine piece of quality. State-of-the-art machinery I've got right here.
Not exactly. Not exactly.
Why, this is the fastest motorcycle you ever did see. Fastest in the county.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What exactly makes it the fastest in the county, you say?
Why, it won first place not only in the 3-mile, but the half-mile race at the Clackamas County Fair.
Is that so?
It is
Indeed.
So. Got the winning purse to prove it. 50 big ones.
50 smackers? Don't that beat all? Well, I wouldn't go saying it too loud around here. You've heard about the robberies across the river in Oregon City, haven't you?
Ah, it's fine. Ain't nothing ever happened here in West Linn.
I wouldn't be so sure of it, lad. But just the same, you be slowing down on your motorcycle around here, I'll have to be giving you a fine.
Now, what would you go and do that for?
It's the new law in town, and I've been hired to slow down all you hooligans whizzing through the streets. You understand what I say, lad?
Yes, sir.
Aye. And now you, Mr. Birdie. I suppose you're trying to get around the world in 80 days or something. Well, as fast as you're going.
I apologize, sir, if we were going a little fast, but my husband here, Mr. Burdine, is an expert in the road conditions here in West Linn, so we understand the need for safety in our streets.
Yes, that's
of course,
right.
if someone would just pay more attention to the road conditions, not worry so much about our speed.
That's right.
Given the
After all, I
chance, my husband and his construction company could do wonders for the road conditions here in West Linn. In fact, his company put in a bid for paving that gap out on Willamette Road, but the city of West Linn decided to go into contract with a company in Portland.
This is right.
And that's despite his bid being the lowest, $10,355.11. The other bid, well over $11,000. And not to mention, the city charter says they have to go with the lowest bid.
It's an outrage.
Definitely sounds suspect to me.
Still, I don't know anything about that. But what I do now is you have to be watching
The
your
city
speed.
mayor, the city recorder, they're going to be answering for this in court.
Yes, I understand, of course. But still, the fact remains, you've got to slow down. There's just too many cars and vehicles and, oh no, what is this now? Slow down a bit here. Oh, now we've got cars and motorcycles, and what next?
Why, you're Evangeline Christensen.
I'm gonna sit down.
Whose horse won second place in the first ever annual women's horse race down at the fair.
That's right. Me and Teddy both won that $50 purse. Thank you very much.
Everyone is going so fast these days. Everyone is moving so. I remember a time when you went from place to place and you met from face to face, and everything moved a little bit slower then.
Things were a lot slower back in those days.
I, for one, think safety should be paramount, and my husband's the one to do it for you. By God, he is!
Pearl, not right now, please.
Nonetheless, the bottom line is you've all got to slow down. Take a little time to smell the roses.
And the seafood down at Rockaway Beach.
Aye, Mr. Wilson, and the seafood down at Rockaway Beach. Oh, now, I want you to be off with you now. Slowly with a... Oh, dear, what do we got here? Oh, dear. I'll have to be talking to that. Slowly now, with a wand. Off we go.
That's some excellent advice.
That was a fun scene to try to direct with horses and cars and motorcycles, and that was certainly a challenge.
Oh my.
Oh my, yes. I always remember when
That
Nicole
was
presents the
very
scene to me.
challenging.
Yes,
Blocking
presents the
that
scene to me, she says,
and getting that to work.
yeah. She says, "Oh, I just want horses, and then a carriage, and then a car,
No, two.
and then then another car, and then another car, and then a motorcycle."
All from 1920.
Yes. So we did actually have a question, Beth, from the YouTube questions. Someone about where do we get the automobiles, and that has been a great thing over the years. From when we first started doing this in 2008.
The horseless carriage club, the Portland area horseless carriage club.
And
our connection.
Jim Gordon has been our main contact.
Go ahead.
I was going to say Jim Gordon has been the main contact providing us cars I shouldn't call them cars, automobiles for every year since 2008.
Yes. Yeah. And even before then, was he in an indoor scene at one time? Or he's always been outside with the cars? I think one year it rained and he was in the garage. He was in a garage.
Yes,
right. That was the only time though. It's always supposed to be outside.
And of course, what you're missing is we didn't get to see. You're having your kitty.
She's not going to leave me.
What she can say on the lap. Just a comment then.
Yeah.
But one thing that you didn't get to see in the video very well is that you couldn't see all of the other carriages and horses and other things that are going around the neighborhood. We really try to make sure we have the whole scene set for everybody.
Right. You had to be there. That's really what it is.
You do. You do have to be there. And
so this is a teaser.
Yes, this is a teaser. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be back doing this live and in person next year. And so that being
Yep.
said, we're always looking for volunteers to be a part of it, to help out with all different aspects, whether it's doing costuming or lighting, which you couldn't actually, that scene, when you brought it up, is that the lighting looked good in that scene this year. And I know that takes a big effort.
At the beginning, and then the sun went down.
Yes.
And you couldn't see any.
Yeah.
But you had to be there.
Yep. And then we have all these oil lanterns that line the streets, which you don't get to
Yeah.
see either on the video because it's just a beautiful idea. And as we always hear every year, people say it reminds them of like a colonial Williamsburg or our own little Brigadoon in our town. But
we did get it recorded last year by EJ Basco. So thank you so much to EJ for doing that.
a ton of work. Now, that was our last scene. That was the last vignette that people could see. But then they're taken from this point into the church, the Willamette Church, where they get to be entertained by a jazz band. I'm going to pronounce it wrong. Nu Plus Ultra, and the great band that they have there. They've done that for the last couple of years for us. Always a big hit. The music that you were hearing before every scene was provided by that band. And then we have another band that played at the beginning of the tour to entertain folks, as well as a barbershop quartet that entertained, as well as there was complimentary peanut roasters that were handing out peanuts, just like, and it actually was a 1915 peanut roaster period, handing out peanuts for folks. So we really try to immerse everybody into this whole thing.
We do.
So we're always looking for other people to be involved. But if you did have a good time watching this today, we would love to get your involvement with the West Linn Historical Society. And you can do that by visiting our website, which is www.westlinnhistory.org. You can make a donation by going to www.westlinnhistory.org/donate, and then click on the big donate button. You can click on it, says donate there. Yeah, can't miss it. It's a big old button there. But peruse the rest of the website. There's lots of information on there. There's research you can do. Go to the contact page to be in touch with us, to be involved with some of our events. We've moved a lot of the events and everything online right now, but we're looking for other ideas and other ways that people get involved. So hopefully you can join us.
Do you have a favorite scene?
Do you have a favorite scene? I'm not gonna.
All my scenes are my favorite because of writing them all. I have to say the moonshine scene was my favorite to write. So that was really fun for all of that type of that dialogue and getting the cadence, and that was really fun.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the traffic scene. I'm going to go with the traffic scene. It's a great ensemble. Everybody plays their part so well. It's a great scene that was really well written, and I just thought everybody did a great job on that.
Yeah, everybody did a great job and everything. And I have to say one shout out to the birthday party scene, to the Roy Buckles character, who is an amazing actor. And I have a little bias on that too because he's my son.
And he's right over there.
And he's right over here, been helping with all of there he is.
Yeah, helping with our
been
camera and
helping
our
with our tech. So and that scene was a favorite to write also because I thought of him when I was writing it. And I hadn't asked him yet if he would do it. So I hoped he would. And he said yes, thankfully. So
he had no choice.
He had no choice, really.
He had to do the scene.
That's part of being in the family.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
Anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've had a great time listening to everyone's comments. The YouTube video will be posted here for a while, so you can go back and rewatch it if you'd like to see some of the scenes again, look at some of the comments. They're all there. And of course, I saw as the night was going on, we had a lot of our participants from the past who were involved in commenting. We had another question. Where did you get your photos from? So if you're talking about the photos that were seen in the credits in the opening, that was actually shot by some local photographers. We have a big photo club that we open up the scenes for early on, and they come in with their vintage cameras and take pictures of all the different vignettes and scenes. And some of those are actually with vintage film. We did not make those old-fashioned looking pictures. That was actually real old-fashioned film. Some of it, I think, was from 1920s.
Yeah.
It was 1920s era film in a 1920s era film camera that took some of those pictures. But our photographer, who takes all of our pictures, Glenn Bledsoe, spends the whole night grabbing hundreds of photos of all the different scenes and vignettes. Some great pictures to be able to help document it. And but Glenn was doing that for a number of years. A good friend of mine. So always appreciate him. But then beyond that, we also have our historic photos that we access, and that's from John Klatt and the old Oregon photos. And they keep an archive of all the historic photos of West Linn and Clackamas and Oregon City. And you can visit that at, I think it's oldoregonphotos.com to look at some of those. But those are great historical records for us. And we have a lot of different resources on our website at westendhistory.org that you can also explore and take a look at and be a part of. But I think that is basically what we've got, right?
That's it.
Anything else? Beth, you got anything else you got to add?
No, just to remind everybody that it took hundreds of people, hundreds of volunteers to put this show on for the past 12 years. And I do hope that when our world gets a little bit more, a little bit healthier, a little bit more under control, we can get back out there and do these things again.
Absolutely. And we should just do a quick shout out that from the West Linn, City of West Linn has been a great supporter over the years. The Willamette Neighborhood Association has been a great supporter over the years. Of course, we also do get funding from the City of West Linn. We also get a grant from Clackamas County. I gotta get this right. Clackamas County Cultural Commission. Is that right, Beth? I always get that when the initials wrong on that.
Yes. No, it's actually that we've gotten the tourism money
and then also
from
the
Clackamas
Mountain Hood tourism money.
Mountain Hood tourism. And they've also given the city money, which has been donated or granted to us as well to run the show. We use probably about 50% of our costs come from grant money, and then our ticket sales, come up with the other 50%. And we usually can roll over a little bit to seed the next year, but we go through quite a bit of it. With the more years we've had under our belt, the more elaborate the productions have become.
Yes, absolutely. And things that you don't even think about, just the security of closing off the streets, moving all the vehicles out, notifying the neighbors, communication with everybody. There's a lot of back office thing. We actually did for one of the grants we have to apply for, we have to let them know how many hours, what we call volunteer hours, are put together. And after about 1,000 hours, we kind of just lost track because there's so much dedication and back office stuff that goes into it. So we're always looking for volunteers help, which is great because we have such a big crew of over 120 people involved. It makes all those hours very, very little. So you can get by with just doing a couple hours here or there, but it helps with the whole big team effort because it takes a team to do this whole thing. And so we're always looking for volunteers. And Beth, I know you're one of the volunteer coordinators with the Historical Society.
Yep. So when we can get back out in the street, we'll want your help.
Absolutely. But we do need to make sure we thank the Tualatin Valley Community Television for helping us put this whole thing together. Their crew and their staff over there did a great job of this production stuff. EJ Vasco was responsible for doing our videography of the scenes that you saw, as well as the sound and the editing on all that. But we had a big cast and crew, and we talked about them, but maybe we should actually show you all the names. We did a little credits there. So as we say good night from Danny Schreiber,
Nicole Schreiber,
and Beth Smolens,
we say good night,
everyone.
And now get to take a look at our little credits to see who was involved.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.